Hello, welcome to today's update. I'm sorry there weren't an update Friday because there wasn't kind of a lot of stuff that I could have show you guys, and I wasn't really being productive to be honest. But I did a lot of work over both on Friday and over the weekend, so I think it's best to just kind of show you guys. So over this kind of past few days, I was mainly working on the UI and background. So you can see here that the game looks very different. So let me actually pull up the usual FPS. So there's a few things to notice is that right now you have this cool foresty background that I have with like a mountain in the back that you can't really see. There's completely new UI for the health bar and the round timer. So let me just demonstrate it for you guys. So you can see that there's like this transparent black bar once the health depletes, and then when you die, when you die, right? There's a new rounds one symbol that shows you that you've won a round, which is cool. You can see that the ground is gone. It's actually have kind of snowy texture that rolls along, um, and then the other thing is there's the corner is no longer right. You can no longer see the corner. I can talk about what I've done later in more detail, but now instead of having a wall on each side, well, there's still a wall. You just can't see it, and then the camera kind of um, the camera kind of stops there to give you that traditional kind of corner feeling for game. One more thing is that when you attack now, no matter which player you are, you'll the attacker always has their sprite up front now. There's a little trickery I did behind the scenes that moved the sprite just kind of a little bit forward and a little bit backwards to give them make sure that one displays over the other. Um, and yeah, even though you run in like if you run into them, you will like show that like your face is behind them if you're not attacking. But once you attack, so you're still behind them. But once you attack, right now you are in front. So no matter what you're doing, right, your attack will always kind of show above everything else, which is awesome. Um, yeah, games looks very different. So I'll just show you guys a little bit of like the process I went to get there. So I previously had a UI concept in Photoshop that I was working on. Um, just a very simple one frame based on the idea behind the UI was I wanted to be somewhat like runes, somewhat like magicy, that kind of glow up. And kind of have that simple but ancient and like elegant feel to the UI. So I went through just different concept for the health bar and the center, mainly the center timer that I wanted. Just different concepts of seeing kind of what vibe works the most. And the first one I did is kind of the circle, which was very simple. And I actually ended up sticking with this one because I really like the simplicity of it. Yet I think it works very well in not being too complicated and not being too busy with itself. Let's see. And then here I have a few concepts on just the rounds one or like the rounds counter. Um, I was actually referencing several games to see what they did with the round counter. And I really saw that the color of the round counter really matched with the health bar itself. Um, Usually, or like some shade of the health bar, or sometimes it's actually completely different. But I tried with different colors. You can see here I tried with orange, tried with blue. But I think the one that works the best is still kind of this blue green one. See if I can actually go in here. Yeah, this blue green one here. I think it matches up pretty well. I also tried different shapes. There's a lot of attempts here that you didn't really see because I don't think they work very well. I kind of like this like triangle where like when it's not but when it's not filled, right, it's just one line. But I also do really like this kind of like stop sign or like yeah, stop signish shape that fills in once it um, once you want. I still need an animation for it, but um, I think that would be pretty cool, right? So I ended up going with this because I think it was just a lot more simple, and I think not being super busy actually plays ball to his advantage. Um, so yeah, that's the UI. The other thing is the forest, which is basically just done with this giant painting here. Um, I painted this mountain in the background, and then just added some trees in front. it was actually pretty challenging given this is my first time painting trees in any real kind of capacity. I looked up some tutorials just to see how to kind of describe the shape and form of trees and how to simplify it down to something that, right, instead of drawing individual leaves and stuff like that. I think the results are all right. They're definitely not great because I could go very detailed on one tree or one bush, but there's a lot of trees to draw. So I just at the end I was just kind of like going pretty regularly at it, or just kind of like going away at it just to try to get this done. And then I mean I did get it done, right? So there's 3 layers of trees, and then what I did inside the engine is that the camera is now no longer orthographic camera. Now it's a perspective camera. So because I want the parallax effect, right, of the tree moving in the background. So if you didn't realize it earlier, notice it earlier. As we move like across the screen, right, you can see the trees in the background moving at a different speed, and the mountain in the back moving at a different speed compared to the trees at the front and stuff like that. So that's just parallax, and that's just done. I looked up ways to do that in 2D, but it seems like it was a lot of work. So I didn't really want to go in and invest a bunch of work and stuff for stuff like that wasn't gonna pay off, or just seems like too much work. So I just switched it off to a perspective camera, and then added these 3 different layers. So each ones are actually cubes. So I put in a cube and then I put texture on them. You can see kind of like it's you can see the like very squished texture on the very thin side of the cube. But I made the texture transparent, which took a little bit of fiddling with the materials settings, and yeah, so this is what I ended up doing. So for the ground, I actually just take this giant painting right here and flip it 90 degrees and then stretch it out so that it looks like things are spreading out. It actually looks pretty nice, even though I'm kind of wasting away so much of this block back here. It does give that nice variation that you can kind of see combined with the back trees, that the whole scene is moving. The other thing is that I made the wall blocks now just transparent, so you're not seeing it. And then the other thing I actually did was that I separated the camera out from the stage walls that naturally stop players from moving too far apart, right? So what I'm mentioning here is that like when you move a certain distance apart, right, it doesn't let you move anymore, even though there's still space in each side of the screen. And I really wanted this. I really want to separate them because of this side wall camera, and then also it would let me be more precise with this stage wall, because the stage wall before, when I was linked to the camera, and because the camera was lerping, there were times at which the stage wall wouldn't respond instantly to the player moving. So I decided to separate them so that there's no lerping now on the stage walls, and have the camera be a separate entity that does lerp. And then the thing I did to make sure that the camera doesn't go like all the way, because usually if you before it's set to the center of these 2 characters, and when it hits the corner, basically I just clamp it. I just clamp it at specific degrees, and that degree is set by some simple trig where we know that this camera is 90-degree field of view, so it's this between this angle is 45, so this is 125 away from the center, so it's 125, right? So that we know how far this camera can see to the right, and then I just set the max extent to how far away these are. So let's see. These are 350 away, so this is gonna be 350 minus 128 away. That's how far the camera can go before it sees the edge of the corner. So I just stop the camera once it reaches that number. There are some tweaking I have to do because the wall does have thickness, and the collision box of the character is like a little bit pushed in too. But that's just kind of minor details. So yeah, let me see if there's anything else that I did over the weekend. Yeah, that's kind of it. It's cool to see this game now. It like looks kind of like an actual game. Before it was just kind of like testing like placeholder textures and stuff like that. The many things still need tweaking, such as the jumping normals. But really happy to see it come this far. Oh, one more thing was that I was also working on a new special for Wolf. Let's see if I can find this. So I wanted him to give him like a pretty decent DP. So this is something work in progress right now. So he just charges up and then does a giant smear and then reappears at the end, and then recovers. So work in progress. I think something like this would be very nice. Maybe have different options in terms of canceling, in terms of movement and stuff like that. I think it will add to his gameplay a lot. And also pretty good like finisher and juggle. Probably like an option to kind of juggle in the middle of the combo. So yeah, happy to see this come this far. It's very different just visually, right? The background is different, the UI is different, and stuff like that. So it's cool. So one thing to note is that so this is kind of for like the series as a whole. I'm gonna be putting out updates a lot slower than what I've been doing previously, which is almost like once every day, or basically once every day, and that's because I'm actually starting work for my summer internship. So I won't have as much time working on these characters or on this game now. I was working on it basically full time, 6-7 hours each day before. But now probably gonna be maybe 1 or 2 hours each night, or depends on when I can fit it in after work. But I'll probably be putting out updates once a week, and I'll probably move a lot of this production to the weekends. But definitely the development is gonna slow down. I am excited to get this thing testing once I put the new special in and kind of see what people think. So I still need the menu, probably just tweak that a little bit, but yeah, that's the update. So you won't be seeing as much goodness as before, because I'll be off doing something else, but still expect updates once in a while. So thanks for tuning in, and yeah, see you guys in probably a few days, a week, so I'll probably figure out what my exact schedule is once I settle into work, but that's up to how things go. But do hold me accountable for keep having updates and stuff like that. So yeah, see you guys soon.